Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the TriStar Sports Show. We are now on episode 14 of this. Can't believe we're already here. Jamie and I are here once again. Jamie, we took care of business this past weekend against Florida. Final score of the game being 23-17 in Knoxville. We were both at this game. Electric atmosphere. What's your initial reaction to that one?
It was a great atmosphere, that's for sure. Neyland at night never fails to impress. It was my initial reaction at the game was pretty upset. Not there. It was a mixture of being upset and being relieved, which I think is pretty par for the course in an ugly win like that was. An ugly win still wins. So as the days have passed, I've grown more and more okay with it and more just happy we got out of there with a win. It could have been much worse, especially with the way we played in the first half. But during the game, I was mainly just frustrated with the lack of scoring and sometimes felt like what was lack of offensive variety. Our defense, the story for the entire season has been our defense. And I was telling Tegan before the show started, I really think our defense is one of the main reasons that we're still 5-1 right now. Without the way they've been playing, I don't know if we'd be where we're at. But hey, good win. We got bigger things coming into town this weekend. I got to get ready for that. Learn from this one. Hopefully, both the coaches and the players have. And we're getting ready for the big Crimson Tide this week. What do you think?
Well, I think if you're a Tennessee fan out there, I understand the BVS kicking in, the battered Vols syndrome, as people like to call it. AK, if you don't know what that means, that's basically we've been tortured our entire lives watching the Tennessee Vols, and it's really hard for us psychologically to convince ourselves that things are actually going to be different. I know on the outside we pretend we're delusional, but deep down, every single Tennessee fan in the back of their head expects disappointment every single time we touch the field or the basketball court or the baseball field until proven otherwise. And I saw a lot of that in people's eyes in Neyland Stadium in the first half, especially when we put up another goose egg in the first half, and then you see us go down 10-0 in the second half. But, at the end of the day, we fought back. We scored 17 unanswered, took the lead. We did give up a late touchdown to make it go to overtime, but that's neither here nor there. We won. At the end of the day, we won. I was a little frustrated with some of the play calling, sequencing, and stuff like that while I was there. But the only thing I don't like about being at the stadium is you can't really see everything that's going on the same way you can watching back on replays over and over again. They can only show so many replays in the stadium. Obviously, I'd much rather be in the stadium than on the couch. But looking back on it, the plays were there. A lot of people don't want to admit it. They think that Nico is overrated or not good enough. Heupel doesn't have the same mentality he has in years past, and people were trying to talk about how maybe 2022 is a fluke or this and that and the other. But here's the real story. If you want to be happy, we just beat Florida back-to-back times in Neyland. That has been forever since we've done that.
Right.
And if that doesn't at least get you like a little bit excited, then either A, you haven't been a Tennessee fan long enough to understand the torture, or B, you just don't want to live happy. You don't want to live happy. And obviously this would be a totally different conversation if we lost. We would not be happy. But it's now, we're filming this on Tuesday, multiple days after, and we won. Time to move on to the next one and get better.
Right. Completely agree. I don't think Nico played his best by any means. No touchdowns and a pick is never the best stat line that you can have as a quarterback. But the more I've watched replays, the more I realized that his receivers really weren't doing him any favors to help him out. The 2 or 3 deep shots we did take, I saw at least 2 that definitely should have been caught. Probably would have been touchdowns if they were caught. So, if you connect on those 2, then I think you're looking at a completely different ball game, and people are walking out of there with a completely different mentality. And we probably cover the spread. I guess the one. What's up?
I just think the narrative, people love to throw the narratives about the quarterback. That is such an easy person to blame on the football field, and I get it.
It is.
I understand when things are not going your way, that's supposed to be the leader of your team. That's the first person you're going to blame. If not him, then the head coach. Those are the 2 people that get targeted first.
Right.
But I know what got us so excited going to the season was, and the reason why we have so much confidence around Nico and this team this year and not just worry about next year is we brought in and we have these talented wide receivers that we expected to kind of make up for some of the leeway of the young quarterback. It might be he might overthrow or throw you behind by a yard or something like that here and there, but we trusted these guys to go make the play.
Right.
And they have from time to time, but it seems like that's been the common mistake from the last 2 weeks. More this week. Arkansas, you could definitely blame. There was no really deep shot. I think there was one deep throw the entire game until the very last second. Mm-hmm. And then this game, like you said, they were there. There was a couple of them. The whole narrative switches if he hits on 2 of those.
Right.
All of a sudden, he's like 2 for 4 going downfield, maybe a couple touchdowns, and like you said, we probably covered. And it's not even a close game with the defense, the way the defense played. So I don't know. Obviously, everybody wants to sit here and watch Nico throw for 4 touchdowns, but I really don't care what we do if we win. I really don't.
Right. Do I think I still believe in Nico. I'm not sure if the 4 touchdown, that guy, we might be a year out from that Nico, but he's learning, and I think that he's improving. I feel like a big issue with our receiving core right now is we don't necessarily have a bona fide number 1, which is has been a big issue. We've been waiting. Excuse me. We've been waiting all year on that one guy to step up, no matter who it was. Sometimes we thought it would be Thornton. Sometimes we thought it would be Squirrel White. Who knows who it's going to be? But we need that guy to step up for this offense to really get taken to the next level and make those. Just someone to go out there and make plays whenever it might not be a perfect pass, because even the best quarterback in the world isn't going to put it on the money every single time. The best quarterback in the world typically has some receivers out there who are going to go and make some plays for him and make him look good. And he's going to make them look good too. I guess the one consistent of our offense this entire season has been Dylan Sampson. And, he's a guy, that's for sure. Would I have liked to seen us throw it a little bit more than we did? And do I still think that some of the play calling may have been conservative at times? Yeah, sure. But whenever you have a guy who's toting the rock for over 100 yards and multiple touchdowns a game, you can't get too mad at it. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, Sampson now has the most rushing touchdowns in SEC history through 6 games since 1992. He has 15 rushing touchdowns through 6 games. That's pretty darn good. That is pretty darn good. No matter how you draw it up. You did see some different play calling here or there. We started introducing more of a true jumbo package on the short down and distances, which I loved. It was successful each time. We threw a defensive lineman back there a couple of times to help lead the way for Sampson, which what we kind of talked about, that could potentially, we could be setting up who knows what kind of play call in the future on the goal line.
Yeah.
You might go see a defensive lineman go run out for a flat route and go catch a touchdown this year. We don't know. That's something that could be in the works. You see teams like the Detroit Lions kind of utilize that from time to time. But I don't know. I think it could be a lot easier to sit here and be upset and point fingers if this was a loss.
Right.
But we looked like a whole different team in that second half. The second half was not perfect by any means, but I will take that second half performance any day over what happened in that first half.
Absolutely. I know one thing though. We're gonna have to clean things up in the first half this weekend. We won't be able to
Yeah.
go. I don't think you'll be able to go out and lay a goose egg this weekend and come back in the second half.
If that's the case, you better hope that you're holding Bama to 0. That's
Right. Exactly.
it's the same concept of Florida. I mean, we held them to 3 somehow in that first half, which
Right.
I guess is really what kept us in that game.
Absolutely.
And the only last thing I'll touch on the offense is, I mean, Nico said it in the post game. Obviously, he knows he has to be better. We shoot ourselves in the foot more than anything else. Anytime we get a positive play, sometimes it feels like holding call or what they call it, the phantom holding call is like where you look back on the film and like, where was the hold? But that screws up our no huddle offense where you're playing behind the sticks.
Right.
We like running on first downs, and it's not fun running the ball on 1st and 20 because unless you get a
Exactly.
10-yard run, you're kind of in trouble. And I don't know.
You
I
become
think
one dimensional.
it is. And with a young quarterback and a offensive line that doesn't necessarily do well in third and very longs, just because the defense kind of can tee off on that. There's not many offensive lines in the NFL or college that can do that well when it's 3rd and 12 every single time.
Right.
I
Because you're
mean,
giving the defense the advantage shifts to the defense in that situation where they know what you're going to do. You're going to have to pass the ball. You're not going to run the ball at 3rd and 12, and so then they can sit back there in their pass coverage. The defensive lineman can pin their ears back. Don't have to worry about any run fits or anything, and it just becomes a lot harder for the offense. And it felt like sometimes whenever they'd either get a good punt and pin us back there, or if we start a drive or get a drive going and then get it behind the sticks. I mean, it just like you were saying, it shoots ourselves in the foot and it kills the entire drive.
I don't think it's crazy to say that the offense is right there. I really think it's going to take just one day for it all to come together, and once it does, I don't think it's going to stop. And
Right.
I think it's a little bit of a confidence thing. I think they know they're capable of doing it. They just need to see the production of it, and once they do
Mm-hmm.
and see the results, I really don't think we go back to what's going on. This is the first time in the Heupel era that we had a slump of offense, like an offensive slump.
Right.
Um, that's been the one consistent this whole time here. So I think that's why so many people are panicking because everyone's like, he's the offense and quarterback guru. So why is this happening? That was supposed to be the one thing we never got bad at again was offense. But welcome to the sport of football. Things happen. It's not going to be sunshine and rainbows every single game. But like you said, there's some things to clean up. Shout out to the defense. I will announce there. If you didn't see, Keenan Peely is out for the season. Our starting middle
Yeah.
linebacker, which is a tough loss, and it sucks for him. I mean, he's played college football, I think, 6 or 7 years now. I mean, he's been
Yeah. He's been around the block for sure.
unfortunate injuries over and over again for him, and I'm guessing this is the end of his football career. Hopefully, maybe he continues in the NFL. But now you're going to have to see guys like Arion Carter step up. He had a big interception in the Florida game. His role has continued to increase this season. He's a sophomore. He was a highly recruited player. I kind of hope. I mean, this is a big opportunity for him. I hope they kind of give him the green dot on his helmet and kind of let him control the defense because that's only going to
Right.
make him better.
That'd be
Because
pretty cool.
ideally, you have him for 1 or 2 more years. And if this is the moment right now where he takes over the defense and welcome to being a veteran leader on this football team because you got Alabama coming up, and
Right.
there's no time to panic. It's now. So
For sure. There are definitely things to clean up. I mean, like you said, our defense, I don't think they were, you can't complain about them at all. Anytime, Florida may have allowed, or we may have allowed more yards than Florida did, but the game's not about yards; it's about points, and we scored more points than they did. So they could have went out there and gotten 1,000 yards for all I care. We scored more points than them at the end of the day. So good
yeah,
win, ugly
bend don't,
win.
bend don't
Yeah,
break. Bend don't
right.
break. They don't really break, to be honest. So
No,
they haven't yet, at least.
not at all.
And the only last thing I'll say is I saw a stat, speaking of the defense, first time since 1969, the Tennessee Vols defense has held teams under 20 points through the first half of the season.
Dang. Hey, I like that
So
stat for sure.
that is that is an awesome stat to look at. I mean, that's we're talking 50 years. 50 years.
Yeah, we do that to Alabama. You put ourselves in a pretty good situation.
I mean, yeah, that's the logic is, you held teams to under 20 points. You're only requiring 21 points to win every football game at this point in the season. That's all it would have
Right.
taken. If you scored 3 times against Arkansas, I don't think you obviously don't lose that game. You held them to under that. So,
Right.
but you got to move on, and that can kind of segue ourselves to the third Saturday in October coming up this weekend. Everyone's favorite week of the year, or your least favorite, depending on who wins. So,
Hey, get the cigars ready.
yeah. So we have Alabama Crimson Tide walking into town this weekend in Knoxville. It's a 3:30 kickoff on ABC. Um, I think it's been announced kind of as an orange out for the fans. I don't think it's ever been confirmed by any of the UT accounts, but fan accounts
Are
are
we
just
wearing?
pushing that out. I'm assuming we're wearing orange if we're going to be doing
Okay.
that. I think we also try to keep it classic versus the rivals,
Right.
and
That's true. I was
I
gonna
don't
say
know what else we'd wear.
leave the orange helmets in the locker room.
Yeah, we
I
don't
still
we don't need to
I
see
haven't gotten over
those.
those.
We can pull those out in UTEP. We can pull them out with UTEP,
Right. There you go.
and if that doesn't work out, you at halftime take those helmets off and switch them out. So, yeah,
Uh,
big game, Jamie.
must win game. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say that we have a better chance of winning this one than we do beating Georgia on the road. And if you're going to be a playoff team or make a playoff push, 10-2 is kind of like that floor of what you can be if you're going to be a playoff team. So between this game and Georgia, I don't want to overlook any of the other games because I mean, shoot, Vandy is playing out of their minds for some reason. But when you look at our remaining schedule, you have this game in Georgia. You have to win at least one of them. And I'm not saying we can't beat Georgia on the road because they've been beaten this year. They've looked beatable at times, but you got to win the games at home in Neyland. Alabama has certainly looked beatable. They almost lost last week. And I mean, just looking at the stats real quick, it's kind of crazy to see that Nico's only thrown for 270 less yards than Jalen Milroe this year. Difference is 5 touchdowns. So, like we were saying, if some of those deep balls connect, then all of a sudden you're looking at a whole different story, a whole different narrative. He's thrown one less interception, so he's turned the ball over less than Milroe is. I mean, I'm sure that Milroe has a lot more rushing yards than Nico probably does. But the biggest difference I see on the stat sheet, just like the game preview, is the almost 400-yard discrepancy in our leading receivers.
Well, I want to point out one thing about Miro's stats compared to Nico. I'm not just trying to sit here and defend Nico. I'm not saying he's a better quarterback than Milroe. I'm not saying anything like that. But what I am going to say is Nico's played a lot less quarters than Milroe has this season. And
Right.
I don't think Milroe's really come out of the game other than maybe like Wisconsin. I think that's the only game where he didn't. I mean, every other game's been a 4-quarter, it seems like somewhat game. I mean, maybe Western Kentucky he came out or something like that. But I mean, I know for a fact he was in the whole Georgia game. He was in the whole South Carolina game, the whole Vandy game. So,
Whole South Alabama game, as far as I know.
or
Probably.
South Florida game.
Florida,
and
not South Alabama.
yeah, he had to come in and keep playing at the end and start throwing deep balls and make it look like they didn't play that one close. So
Right. I mean,
I don't know.
like I was saying, they might have 300, almost 400 more receiving yards between the leading receivers, which, by the way, theirs is Ryan Williams and ours is Dante Thornton right now, but we almost have 400 more rushing yards between our leading rushers than they do.
I mean,
So
their rushing attack outside of Milrow is pretty non-existent.
right,
They, I mean, if you're looking at pure matchups in this game of our defense versus their offense and our offense versus their defense, it's kind of confusing if you really sit there and think that how we're underdogs at home. I mean, I don't know if that's just the bias in me, but you look at our defensive line, they already struggle running the ball. We have probably some of the fastest edge rushers in college football as far as lateral quickness. If you contain Milrow and the way our secondary is played and just don't get beat over the top by a Ryan Williams crazy play or something like that,
right.
they really should struggle to score if we play the way we have been playing. And you go to the offensive side of things, Bama has had a really, really, really tough time stopping the run from what it seems like. And guess who runs the ball a lot? That's us. We run the ball a lot. It really plays into our favor a ton. If our O-line can just they've been really no issues running the ball all season long. The offensive line has played dang near perfect in run blocking. Pass protection, there's been questions from time to time, but if we get the running game going early, I mean this could be very, very interesting. I obviously we have to play up to the expectations that we need to, but I don't think it's crazy to say that we win most position group matchups in this.
I don't think that's crazy either. I mean, I guess receiver would be one we don't, and that's probably just because they have that number one that we have been looking for, which I'm not saying we might have someone step up this game. Who knows? If they're going to do it, now's the time to do it. But, I mean, yeah, you'd probably say they beat us out in receiver. Probably say quarterback at this point. Who knows? I'm sure that some people would make an argument for it.
I mean, Miller's had a little bit of the turnover bug recently, so
he has.
If
Absolutely.
The blueprint's been get Bama to 3rd and long,
right? And make him throw.
If you don't let him run around, he has had some struggle. I mean, he's had times where teams run a deep zone and he just makes a terrible read. You saw it in the South Carolina game. I mean, he has been playing his best football. He had that good game against Alabama against Georgia in the first half. And then you saw in the second half, they switched the way they played defense and they shut him down. It wasn't until literally a minute to go in the game where they scored again. I don't know.
Stop him from running. That's the key.
I don't know what Vegas knows. I don't know what Vegas knows because I would have thought we would have been at some sort of favorite at being at home 1 point or something. I just don't know. I mean,
I think it comes down to
money to be made,
our offense. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love seeing us at plus money. It might be one of the only times this year we get to see that. But I think it comes down to the fact that we have been shut out the first half, the past 2 games. And especially with one of those being at home, where our offense is, we talked about it last week, that our offense is supposed to be substantially better at home than we came out on Saturday and once again failed to score a point in the first half. Like we were saying earlier, we can't do that this week. We're going to have to come out hot and score, whether that's on the ground or through the air. I don't care how we do it. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care if our defense scores, but you got to come out and start the game strong.
I mean, if you look back on the Florida game, going back to that real quick, opening drive, we marched right down the field.
We did.
And going back on it, I mean, obviously it's all hypotheticals, but there's a part of me that's like, if we did not fumble on the read option right there and we punch it in, it might be a completely different outcome of a day. Because I think what happened right then and there was they went to the sideline and were like, "Well, crap, here we go again. We can't
Hmm.
find a way to score," and that just carries over.
Right.
Then you
It
mix in
does.
some penalties and drop passes, and it all just kind of snowball effect. And I mean, I don't remember if we won or lost the toss, but I know we received first. I don't know if that was by
Hmm.
our doing or their doing. Part of me wants to believe that Heupel decided that he wanted the ball first in that game, but I mean, I don't hate it. Get the offense going, and if they do,
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you all right now, we're taking Tennessee money line this week. We're not even playing with the
Look it.
spread. We're taking money line. So I just don't know, and there's nothing that Alabama has done in the last 2 weeks the same way Tennessee that has impressed me. Um, I mean, they gave up 40
No.
to Vanderbilt, and then they came back home and they struggled against South Carolina when everyone was like, "Here comes the big bounce back week." I mean, it's parallel to Tennessee, except for we actually won by more at home than they did. I mean, we're
They
talking the
looked
difference
bad.
between
They
two.
almost. I think South Carolina beat themselves more than Alabama beat South Carolina.
I
If
mean,
you
yeah,
ask
there
me.
was a point in that game where Milrow threw an interception in the end zone, and 2 plays later, South Carolina fumbled. And so it's like
Right.
they beat themselves. And then you have a crazy touchdown at the end, crazy throw by the quarterback. And then they go for two, and the quarterback sails it 20 yards over the receiver's head when the receiver was like 5 yards away from him. And that's how they
Exactly.
lost. And then they recovered an onside kick.
Yeah.
And then all they needed was a field goal. And then some of the play calling was confusing. I don't know what they were doing, but there was we were sitting at the Tennessee tailgate, all sitting around a phone watching it because we're like, there's no way Bama drops two in a row coming into Neyland. That seems almost
Right.
even scarier because are they really going to lose three in a row? You know,
Yeah.
so
That
there
was
was a
the
part
first
of me
thing you told
that
me.
there was a part of us that were like, maybe I'm glad they won close and just didn't lose. And then one last thing on Bama is the rankings. Just I think all like we're putting this chip like I feel like all the chips are putting on our shoulder in this game. There's been a lot of disrespect between where the underdogs. Bama last week was ranked seventh. We were ranked eighth. To summarize, we technically had a quote unquote better win than Bama did. If you really want to like get into that, and we dropped to 11, and they stayed exactly at seven. So
I mean, if you ask me about that, I think we either both should have dropped or we both should have stayed at the same
right,
spot.
I don't think you can move. I would have been confused if they kept us and dropped them.
Right.
So I don't know. Hey, honestly, I'm kind of glad it's this way. It probably just gives us a little bit extra juice, so a little bit extra momentum.
Yeah. No kidding. It'll help the resume. We'll give them a reason to drop after this week.
But I think that's all for highlighting this game. Go win. Let's win. What I don't think we'll be storming the field if we win, but who knows? Who knows? Got to go buy our cigars. That's for sure, just in
Yeah, for sure.
case.
Definitely gonna be smoking a cigar if we win.
That'd be a good feeling. That'd be a good feeling. That'd be the first time we've won back-to-back times at home against Bama since '04 and '06. So we just broke a long streak against Florida this year. Hoping to do the same this go round. So
Absolutely.
Josh Heupel would go 500 against Florida and Bama if he wins this Saturday. So
That's huge.
he already has more wins against Florida now than Kiffin, Dooley, Jones, and Pruitt all had combined.
And
And same for that for Alabama as well, like
yeah,
already,
right.
which is one. So hopefully he can just add to that total.
Well, how many times did Fulmer beat Florida? He never beat Spurrier, at least,
Um,
right? Wasn't that a big narrative? Was that he could never beat Spurrier?
I don't know. I don't want to speak on that necessarily without looking at
Okay.
it. I don't know.
I know
He was
Peyton never beat Florida.
I know Peyton beat Bama a couple times. I think
Right.
so. I think Bama was in some down years around that time. They
Yeah,
were in the
they were.
they were in the post Bear Bryant era. So
Hmm.
and the pre Nick Saban era, they were kind of
Yeah,
wishy washy from time to time.
for sure.
I mean, like I
Um,
said, we won in '04 and '06 against them, and that's both in the Fulmer era. So
right, that's true. But hey, you start you break these curses first by winning at home. If it becomes we beat y'all at our place and you beat us at our place or at your place, that's not a curse or a whatever. That's just a good rivalry. You
Right.
got to win
That's
at
it.
home first.
Most good rivalries are alternate every year. So
Right.
let's take care of
Exactly.
business. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. You want to get into other stuff that happened last Saturday?
Yeah, I would say October 12th ended up being a pretty good day of football. A lot of good games.
Absolutely.
It kind of lived up to the hype. A lot of rivalries. A lot of I don't know. A lot of just big time games. Oregon, Ohio State, just kind of jumping around. If we wanted to start with that, that's kind of
Yeah.
that was probably the biggest one of the week, in my opinion.
Huge game.
Oregon won that game by was it 1 point?
Yep.
And there was all the dramatics
32-31.
at the end of Will Howard like sliding. They had one timeout left, and I guess they were trying to get him in field goal range, and they're trying to say that there should have been 1 second when they called timeout or something. But then there was like the intentional 12 men on the field by Oregon that like helped kill time, which was a chess move we've ever seen before.
I thought it was a big brain move.
And then
why.
there's some like backlash going on in that situation. I don't know. Wild game. I wasn't even able to watch a second of it due to obviously being at Neyland, so I had no. I think I was leaving the stadium and all the traffic of people, and then someone was like, "Ohio State just lost," and I was like, "Oh wow!" I was like, "Well, that was good. Good for everybody else.
Yeah,
But,
no kidding. No, Oregon's the highest they've been ranked for the first time since like the Mariota days.
yeah, number 2 in the country.
Yep.
Part of me thinks they're a little meh. Like I don't like because I don't think Ohio State's all that great. I just think they're kind of playing Big Ten teams and scraping by. And
yeah, they took down their biggest opponent or the biggest threat in the Big Ten. So I guess the door's wide open for them to go win that conference. But we'll see what happens whenever they meet up with a good SEC team.
Just don't
playoffs.
forget, Boise State lost by 3 to Oregon.
They might see him again.
Genty ran for like 200 in that game.
Speaking of Genty, he ran for over 200 again. It just continues to the Genty season just continues. It doesn't ever disappoint.
I mean, what's his stats at now? I'm looking it up right now. I mean, he should be around like the 1,200.
Surpassed 1,200. He's at 1,248.
With
17 touchdowns.
Just an average of 9.9 yards a carry. Just a catch. Can we start calling him a walking first down?
I mean, I guess I saw a lot of funny things on the interwebs this week while the game was going on. Of like, oh, Genty has almost 200 yards, but if you think about it, Hawaii's actually doing pretty good because they're bringing his average down. He only averaged like 8 yards a carry against them that game, which was the lowest he had averaged all season.
Is Genty washed? Only 8 yards a carry? Nah, I'm kidding. Looking at those stats isn't crazy, but now I'm kind of sitting here. It's kind of wild that Samson only has 2 less touchdowns than Genty. That's kind of a wild stat, or kind of a random stat. And then, 1,248 yards is a damn good season in college.
Video game numbers.
Most top running backs in the country. If that was their final stat line on the season, 17 touchdowns and around 1,300 yards, you'd be like, hey, I had a pretty darn good year.
Right. I'm going to go to the NFL.
Genty said, we're halfway done. So he's on pace. I think we looked it up last week, and was it Barry that had like 2,600?
Yeah.
He's not
Which
far
is just
behind.
nuts. He's not far behind, but
he's not. He's almost on pace. He's like
he is.
If we can
I
get
saw
one game out of him against a bad team where he stays in all 4 quarters and gets like 300 yards,
right.
he's going to be there. He's going to be right
I
on
actually
pace.
I saw a graphic of it was like each week him and Barry, and they're pretty close right now, halfway through the season.
I mean,
Barry had a couple of 300-yard games.
most Heisman's get better as the season goes. So
Right. And, I mean, now they're getting national attention. They're number 15 in the country, making a playoff push. I don't know who they have coming up, but
do playoff games count towards those stats?
I don't know. I'm sure they'd have to make some other, like, regular season, whatever, just because you have so many more games now.
Right, because I mean, he would shatter it if he played all the way through, and a conference championship, and I don't know.
Imagine if he went to the Natty, he would have probably close to 3,000 yards on the ground.
Potentially more than that.
Yeah,
more than that. Yeah, I don't know. I just wish him 100% health. I want to see this go all the way.
Right.
And they're not overworking him, so only 126 carries. Well, I say only, but that's not much compared to for how many yards you would have. You would think he's getting 40 touches a game, and he's not.
He's getting like the average workhorse numbers a game, like 20-ish carries a game.
I don't know.
It's crazy. We're going to keep talking about him. Yeah.
And I think Travis Hunter got hurt this week, right?
I believe so.
I think there's
a wild ending to that game.
He got banged up from what I heard, and if that's the case, front runner for the Heisman, definitely. And I don't really know who would be second right now.
I mean, Gabriel threw for almost 400, 350 last week against the number 2 team in the country. They're gonna, my eyes, they're gonna give it. They're gonna look for a quarterback to give it to. But we all know who it should go to.
As long as this keeps pace, I mean.
Right, exactly.
If he falls off, then it was a good run. But I'm on board.
Yeah, all aboard the Genty train.
What other games we had?
Yeah, I mean, Texas almost shutting out Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry.
Yikes.
I
was looking at the stats. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but Quinn Ewers didn't even put up that anything crazy. He had 199, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and that's not video game numbers.
Surely
that's
Arch
sure.
came in, right?
I don't even know.
Let's see. Surely 34-3. No, they had a Golden, a receiver, looks like threw a couple passes.
Yeah, so
Arch never came in.
I think, and what's crazy is the running back didn't even their starting running back had good numbers, but then it didn't go much past that. So I don't know where.
Right.
I didn't watch it. I don't know where all the yards were coming from or points were coming from. Well, it doesn't really matter. Their defense held them to 3. So.
Right. Yeah. Texas looks good. I mean, I'm not saying Oklahoma's a great team or whatever, but I think Texas is well-deserved number 1 in the country right now. That has to be taken. They've proven that it has to be taken at this point.
Right.
For another number 1 team to come in.
They have a test this week. They have their first test this week.
Which that would screw all kinds of rankings up. I mean, I don't know who you'd put.
The way this season has gone, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked.
It'd be Ohio State if Georgia beat Texas. Or not Ohio State, Oregon if Georgia beat Texas.
Not to get ahead of till next week, but Oregon plays this Friday at Purdue at night. Purdue's 1-5. I'm not calling upset alert, but if the Spoilermakers make an appearance, wouldn't shock me by the way this thing is going. I mean, not many people sat there and rose their hand and said Vandy's 100% beating Alabama. So
no.
We're just in that era of football right now where any given Saturday or Friday or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, because there's college football every day now.
Crazy.
You can lose. And that's the beauty of it, and that's the beauty of the 12-team playoff. So
yeah, I think teams may not be taking games as seriously sometimes now because they can drop a game.
Now that we're halfway through, it's officially kind of becoming do or die time, which is
For sure.
it's going to make these games a
Especially
lot more intense.
right with recency bias, and especially if teams already have one loss, you got to go.
Backs
You
against
got
the
to go
wall.
now. Yeah, right. And we love to see it. It makes for better entertainment for us. But other than that, you had USC give Penn State a real fight.
They did.
They lost in overtime by 3, but 33-30, especially as an unranked opponent against the number 4 team in the country. That was a hell of a game. I didn't watch it, but
The only clip I saw was the tight end lining up at center and
yeah, that was crazy.
running a crazy route downfield and then mossing a guy, which was kind of wild. And that's literally all I saw from that game. I think USC, I think they got up early. I think they were up like 14 or 17 nothing. I don't know if it was exactly like that. And then I think they kind of like let Penn State creep back into it, and then Penn State kind of closed it out one way or another.
If you're looking for an upset, you got to close. You got to stomp on those teams whenever they're down.
Right,
you can't let them
right.
get back in. I mean,
LSU,
huge upset. Death Valley at night, baby.
We called that. We called the Oregon game. These underdog teams at home. I mean, environment matters in college football. It doesn't matter as much in the NFL, but especially night game in Death Valley. Like, come on now,
right?
To an Ole Miss team that has not been very, very as good. They haven't met their expectations, to say the least.
They have 2 losses now.
Yeah, they got to win out, quite literally. You saw Anakin Dart hit us with one of these, and he got done like this, and he's like, "We must win out. It's the only way. It's the only way." And everyone was like, "Okay, somebody get him a water." But
edgy.
Yeah, I was like, he's going. I don't know what he's going through over there, but how about you win? Don't lose to Kentucky at home. It's like. Like, gosh,
for sure.
Lane Kiffin, in fact, is going wild over there.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, they're under fire for what we've been knowing about forever. I don't know why it takes other teams saying it. Whenever it happened to us, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I'm going to start faking injuries on this podcast. I swear it started against us in 2021.
It did. They started
that was
the tempo.
That was the first time, at least, I've ever noticed it on a mass scale. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then obviously we threw things at Lane Kiffin on the field, but that's not that's not relevant to the story, And it's like, but they didn't stop. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen Tennessee do it a time or two. It's true, we've done it. But Ole Miss has used and abused that rule, to say the least.
Right.
And I think there's ESPN was keeping a counter of it at some point, and I saw it up to 38 or something like that, which is a ton.
Gosh.
That is a ton.
That's nuts.
You're averaging 6 a game.
Don't they have a rule now where you have to come out for a play?
It's always been the rule where you have to go out one play, and Tennessee really tried to advocate this past offseason to switch some sort of rule. Maybe you have to sit out 3 plays or
the rest of
the series or whatever it is.
That's just tough. It's just tough to you can't.
How do you judge someone's faking?
Yeah, and if you put it like that, where you have to set out the rest of the series, then you're walking the line of okay, now our guy's not going to go down when they actually are hurt. And
I think you'd have to come up with something like, this NFL has a spotter.
Yeah.
For concussions. I think you'd have to have someone up there that's just watching and can make that judgment. I think if somebody jumps or if falls to the ground, maybe within a certain amount of time in the play clock, you know what I mean? If the play clock has already started and ticking, if you're hurt from the previous play, you would have already been on the ground during the play, at the conclusion of the play, not when – holy crap, they're running no huddle. Let me go down really fast. That's
sticky situation for sure.
I don't know. Maybe a minimum of 3 plays or something like that because that's
Yeah,
maybe not. It could not be the whole series, but one play doesn't seem like it's fair because
it doesn't.
I think you can
They're
also
abusing it.
call a timeout and get that player back in. So if you were in a situation where it was last play of the game, you can call a timeout and get that guy right back in. Which I don't know
I don't
what they can
know.
come up with. The NCAA typically drops the ball with things like this, so there's no telling what they decide.
They'll probably make it way too strict and then have to
And then
dial it back a little.
if you get hurt, next thing you know, you're gonna be out for like a half, and it's gonna be like
You can't come back in the game.
till 3 doctors clear you or something. It's gonna be something
Yeah.
wild. I don't know.
I mean, other than that, though, Georgia didn't look the best against Mississippi State.
No.
31 points.
Did Georgia play the week after the Bama game?
I would think so because they were both on bye
Yeah.
before the Bama.
Who did they play? How did that game look? That's what I want to know. Let's look that up because
Oh, we both. I remember we took them. I don't think we bet on them, but we took them to.
was it
They played
Auburn?
Auburn. Yeah. 31-13.
What was the final? 31-13?
And this
I
was
mean, they looked.
41-31.
I just think there's been some sort of hangover from the Georgia Bama game from both teams that just like they they played so hard against each other that
I think they both put
emotionally
everything on the table.
they did
And you got so much film on them now. Like they weren't pulling out any stops in that game.
because they both played one bad half, which gave film
Yeah.
to everybody exactly what to do to stop both teams. And
Right.
obviously, Mississippi State didn't really stop them. I mean, Beck threw for like a
Almost
million
500.
yards, and
Yeah.
I mean, Mississippi State's not good by any means, but they still put up 31 on the big bad Georgia Bulldog defense that they claim to have, and I don't know.
Georgia's not Georgia this year. Alabama's not Alabama this year. I don't know.
We just kind of have to play. It's one of these seasons where it's week by week. You can't.
It is.
Tennessee, as a Tennessee fan, we got Bama this week, and we have multiple games before we even get to Georgia. So I can't even think
Right.
about that game. By the time we get there, we could have multiple losses, or we could be one of the best teams in the country. And
Exactly.
same goes for them. I mean, if they lose this weekend, they have 2 losses, so they're going in desperation mode because they can't lose again. And same
Right.
thing goes for us. And that could end up being a crazy, crazy game in Athens with two lost teams potentially. Which going into the season, I don't think anyone would have predicted 2 losses from both going into that. But
No,
it's not out of the realm of possibility right now.
it's not. I mean, how many undefeated teams?
It's actually not out of the realm of possibility. It's actually projected. I mean, both Tennessee and Georgia are underdogs this weekend.
Yeah. So people expect us to go into Athens, both teams being 2 loss, which I hope doesn't happen. But we'll have to see.
No,
Like you said, week to week.
play by play is what it feels like.
Yeah, no kidding. And you can't expect a team to play one way because they played that way the week before. Alabama can't expect us to come out and suck in the first half because we have the last couple weeks, and we can't expect, like, just because Alabama lost to Vandy that they're going to roll over. It's a new week every
I'm
week. And we gotta
expecting
take it
I'm
seriously.
expecting to get Bama's best. So
Right.
that's all I've ever known. That's all I've ever
And I'm
known.
expecting to give them our best.
Right.
I'm hoping to give them our best.
Right.
But, anyways, Clemson continues to roll. Like they're playing great right now. I know it's Wake Forest, whatever, but I mean, they're rolling, and it
They're
looks
creeping
like
back up there.
they are. They are now 10th. They stayed at 10, which is debatable after a 35-point win. But other than that, did we take the Cyclones last week? Iowa State?
We didn't bet it, but I think
Okay.
we definitely just assumed they were. I think talking about them winning.
Yeah.
They've played.
I didn't know if we
they're-
took them to cover.
They're a top 10 team in the country. So
They sure are.
are they the favorites now to win the Big 12?
Hmm.
Who are we
I
forgetting?
guess over Kansas State.
Kansas State, BYU, and
Yeah.
that's kind of it right now.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Colorado's kind of done for.
Yeah, the loss to
Speak.
Kansas State was kind of a
Yeah, it was a nail in the coffin. So that was a crazy game. Just the ending and everything, and I don't know.
Shiloh got juked out of his shoes. That's for sure.
Yeah, and his dad,
Not happy.
Prime, was not happy about that.
Prime Junior got cooked.
Yeah, big time. Speaking of BYU, though, I've been a big Arizona fan this whole year just because of the sheer amount of NFL prospects they have on their team.
That's
Like,
gonna
they
be
have
a
one of the
crazy
top.
game.
It is. But what I was saying is BYU dismantled Arizona.
Oh, this past week?
Yeah, 41-19. Like, I'm off
Because I saw Arizona was playing somebody interesting this weekend, which is what I was
until they prove me differently. I'm off the Arizona at least betting wagon. They play Colorado this week.
They're spicy. They're spicy.
They are. I mean, they have.
I could see them beating Colorado. I mean, I think they at home?
For sure.
I think they're at home. So
Probably. We'll get into that here shortly. But just going through any other games, Pitt wins a close one, moves up to 6-0. Kind of crazy.
Army and Navy are both undefeated still.
Army and Navy are both undefeated. Vanderbilt beats Kentucky.
Yeah, Commodores anchored down. They keep winning. They keep finding ways to win.
They sure do.
Starting to get to the point where we need them to kind of screw off now. It's
yeah, right. All right, you can calm down. You beat Bama. You beat Kentucky.
At Kentucky at night too, which is hilarious. Right. They had a sellout crowd, blackout in the stands, and Vandy came in and just took care of business and got out of there.
That's hilarious. Memphis continues to look like one of the best non-Power 5 teams in the country, beating USF. I mean, USF just has not been.
They're like 2-4 now, I think.
Yeah, they only put up 3 points last week. So, I don't have anything else to say about.
Bring Golish back.
Yeah, for real. I know we're all.
Send Golish a checkbook. Tell him to come home. Tell him to come home.
Bring him home.
Bring him home.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would be upset.
No, not at all. But I think that wraps up week 7, unless you have any closing remarks. I think we hit on just about everything.
Another crazy day of 2024. Let's get into week 8.
Kidding. Yeah, we actually got games live right now, which nothing of note, but there are 3 games on right now if anyone is watching.
I got 3 of them pulled up on a multi-view watching while
there you go.
Watching this. South Alabama can score some points. That's for sure.
Yeah, they can. Absolutely. I guess the first game of note on Thursday, you have Boston College, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's Virginia Tech is favored by 7 at home, but I mean, crazier things have happened on Thursday night, and Boston College has been playing pretty decent this season.
Is Castellanos hurt? I think he might have been hurt.
He was hurt
in
Western Kentucky whenever they only won by 1 point, but I'm not sure.
I'm wondering if that's why Virginia Tech is favored by a touchdown. To be honest,
probably. Virginia Tech also should have beat the number 6 team in the country.
Frauds.
Yeah. So, more on them in a minute, but that could be a good game. I don't know.
That's on what, Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday night at 7:30.
Who's our NFL Thursday night? Is it better than that?
No, it's Saints and Broncos.
I'd rather watch college football than Saints and Broncos.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Right. You got on Friday. You have Florida State at Duke, where Duke is favored. I never thought I would have heard that come out of my mouth.
What's their record now? They were like undefeated for a while. So,
Well, Florida State's 1-5.
well, I'm talking about Duke. Have they
Computer's
lost
being
yet?
slow. They're not ranked yet, which I feel like
I mean,
they would at
they
least.
haven't played anybody. I know that. So,
They're 5-1. They lost
okay.
to Georgia Tech 2 weeks ago, who Florida State also lost to.
Right.
Real barn burner you got there, man.
Yeah.
So
Seminoles,
I think
Seminoles are cooked.
it's not even funny to talk about them anymore.
No.
But
They're
then
cooked.
also, yeah, so cooked. I don't know what's going to happen next year with Norvell and DJU and whatever. But also on Friday, like you were saying earlier, number 2 Oregon in Purdue could be interesting. I don't know.
It was a pretty big spread, wasn't it?
27.5. Who knows? I don't know. I remember I bet on Purdue the week after Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois and Notre Dame got their
Yeah.
get back. But hey, maybe Purdue can redeem themselves as the spoiler makers.
Hey, Oregon might be coming off an emotional game last weekend.
Right. No kidding.
We've seen it. We've seen it.
Crazier things have happened, especially on a Friday night game.
There's another team in black and gold that has won at home against the team that came off an emotional game this year.
Absolutely.
It's not a coincidence.
To wrap up Friday night, though, man, Friday night is kind of a good slate. Oklahoma State at BYU.
They've been hammering us with games literally every day.
Yeah, we're still in the 55 days of football.
It's beautiful.
It is. It really is. So, yeah, you got Oklahoma State at BYU, which, I mean, BYU's playing some really good ball, and Oklahoma State is not, for whatever reason, thought they were going to be way better than they were this season.
They flopped.
Yeah, they sure did. Not too much to say about that. I mean, BYU's favored by 9 at home. I think that's pretty fair. Do with that what you will. But getting into Saturday, I like to think it's a pretty darn good week. I'll let you start it off with the team you were just talking down about with the Miami Hurricanes in Louisville.
Well, I really, really wanted to bet Louisville +5. We agreed not to take it on the parlay of the week. However, I'm probably going to put a straight bet on this, if not Louisville money line. Louisville is underrated. In the big games, they haven't looked their total best, but they've lost close in every loss. Like I think you said, it was a touchdown in each one.
Mm-hmm.
Miami really should have 2 losses on their record right now. I think they're kind of gotten away with some things by refereeing. And at some point, they're going to just get a loss. And I could totally see it being a new game in Louisville. Like, just middle of the day, no one's really paying attention to it. Next thing you know, they slip up. And they won't get saved by the primetime referees. I just think they might slip up. I'm probably going to take Louisville to win. Miami could finally look better again and take care of business. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's honestly, I've really liked betting underdogs at home this year. It's looked good.
So have I.
It's looked good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, Miami's due for a loss. They've gotten away with too much, and at some point that's going to catch up with them. Whether or not it's this week, I don't know. It could be though, for sure. Continuing down the slate, I mean, you got 3 or 4 on the 12 o'clock slate of ranked teams playing unranked opponents. You got Clemson or Virginia at number 10 Clemson. You got Nebraska at number 16 Indiana, which we can hit on now or hit on later. We did include that one in our parlay of the week. We took the over in that one at 50.5. Both teams are more than capable of scoring some points. Nebraska's defense is pretty decent, but they also haven't played the best opponents in the world.
I mean, Indiana's been playing really good football.
Yeah, they've been playing great. I mean, 25.5 points from each team.
Their coach said something about how, like, I saw something where he was like, look at my track record. I don't lose. I win everywhere I go, kind of thing, which is like totally setting them up to lose this weekend.
Oh yeah,
But that's why we didn't take any bit about who's winning or what. We just took the over. They've put up like around 30 points a game. I didn't look at the exact number, but just looking at how much they've scored, I think the lowest they've scored this season is 31. So if they do that, the over should be a lock. The way
right.
that Nebraska's played fine, they've put up 25 a game roughly, somewhere in that ballpark. And I wouldn't be shocked if this thing turns into a shootout somehow just by the nature of the game.
Right.
50 seemed low, which I guess maybe because it's a Big Ten matchup and sometimes those games get slow and ugly. But between Dylan and Raiola and the way Indiana's playing, I don't know. I'm here for it. I think that was a fun bet to take.
Absolutely.
It felt safer than the ways these spreads have looked this weekend. So,
Right. I agree. There were too many, which I'll probably end up taking a good bit of them. But in my opinion, there were too many like underdogs to pick from this weekend. They can't all hit.
A lot of home underdogs, and originally I had them in a
Right.
parlay, and it's like it felt like somehow, some way, someone's going to lose it and screw it all up.
Yeah.
But it's like
Right.
really, you could probably be profitable if you sit here and bet the spread of every single home underdog this weekend. And
You probably would be if you. I'd say you almost definitely would be if you would have bet up to this point in the season.
oh yeah, I think so too. The only times that we've gone away against it, we've been wrong. Like
Right.
we've tried to sit here and be like, Michigan's the better team than Washington. They're going to win on the road, and then they lost. I think we said
Georgia,
it about
Alabama.
USC at Michigan,
Yeah.
Georgia, Bama. It's just you get tempted because you're like you think the better team's just going to take care of business no matter where it is, but you have to remind yourself like don't take the bait. Don't take the bait.
Right.
They want you, that's what Vegas wants you to do is be like, I'm going to take the favorite, and then here we go. But
Absolutely. Wrapping up the noon o'clock, you have Auburn going into number 19, Missouri. I'm not going to sit here and say that Auburn is going to win the game, but Missouri's only favored by 4.5, so something to look at for sure.
Auburn's been on the upward trend, kinda-ish. They had some moments where their quarterbacks have put up some yards, but I don't know.
Yeah. Missouri's at home. They'll probably end up winning the game. But who knows? It's SEC football. Anything could happen. And finally, you have ECU at number 23, Army. Just taking note of that one because Army is now officially ranked and undefeated. So
They should keep it going this week. So.
right, they definitely should. They're favored by 15. You got getting into, I guess, those kind of in between slates, or not really slates, but just in between games. You got South Carolina at OU in Norman at 12:45, where Oklahoma's favored by 3. I think probably mainly just because they're at home. I don't know. I don't really know what to think of that game.
Oklahoma's kind of due. They're kind of due for a win.
They are. I agree. They lost to us. I don't know who they lost to 2 weeks ago, and then they lost to Texas.
I think they won against. They got their first SEC win in between us and that. I don't remember who it was against. It was a middle of the pack team.
It was Auburn. It was Auburn. So we were just talking about them. So they beat Auburn, lost to us, lost to Texas. Now they're playing South Carolina. I guess we'll find out who the true middle of the pack team is in the SEC. Yeah. All these middle of the pack SEC teams are kind of just beating up on each other. And hopefully we can separate ourselves from that.
Yes, please.
Then at 3:30, you got us and Alabama. We've already hit on that one. Go Vols.
Vols by at least one.
Right, just one. Vols to win. Notre Dame at Georgia Tech. Number 12 Notre Dame at Georgia Tech. That's an interesting one. Notre Dame's favored by 11. Georgia Tech this is one we also considered for our parlay of the week. I mean, Georgia Tech's beaten some decent teams this year, or not. I don't want to say they've beaten decent teams, but they've looked decent. I mean, nobody thought they were going to beat Florida State. I guess now it doesn't look as good as it did to start the year, but Georgia Tech's not a bad team.
Football's a weird game. If Florida State wins that first game of the year, who knows what could have happened?
Exactly.
So they were going to that game. Florida State was a top 10 team. You can't discredit Georgia Tech's win on that.
Right. Exactly. It was a top 10. It was a top 10 win.
It might not look good now, but it was at the time. So
right. You got. Did we put this one in on our parlay? We have 24 Michigan at 22 Illinois. I think we did, right? We took
Illinois money line.
Yep, there you go. So Michigan's favored by 3, but Illinois is the home team, like we've been talking about all episode. Those home underdogs, man. Even though I guess this one's a little weird because Illinois is a higher ranked team, but Michigan's favored. I don't know. It's a tough one for sure.
I think they've been playing better football than Michigan. I really do, and them being at home,
have been.
It seems like it's kind of hard to take that away from them.
The Fighting Illini. Let's see. More 3:30 games. You got Charlotte at number 25 Navy. Once again, just talking about them because they deserve to be talked about. They're undefeated and ranked. Go Navy. Nothing else really of note. I guess some fun games in the afternoon. You got North Carolina State at Cal, which is a little bit of a drive for them. I don't know if you saw the thing where how long Miami's bus took their like equipment bus drove last week. It was like 50 something hours on the road. Like, cause they, for whatever reason, their equipment bus drove and they didn't fly or whatever. And all the comments were like, I really hope they didn't forget anything. But
don't want to turn back. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I mean, going all the way from Miami, Florida to California, like Berkeley, is a far drive. That's about as far as you can get in the country.
Yeah, that's a hike.
Yeah.
That's a yikes.
You got Hawaii at Wazoo. I mean, 2 fun teams, I guess. That'd be really cool if it was on like a Thursday night. I don't know if I'll tune into it on Saturday. I definitely won't tune into it on Saturday at 3:30 because we'll be playing Bama.
We'll be a little busy.
Yeah, just a little bit. Let's see.
Yeah, the 3:30 slate is a wash in my eyes.
I'm not gonna watch any of it. Not gonna watch a second of it. Not gonna have any service in the stadium. Not gonna watch a second of it.
Nope. We'll see the scores pop up around the
right,
stadium.
Yeah. You also got Colorado at Arizona. That's at 4, but still falls into that. I'm not gonna be tuning in. Could be a good game, like you said. Arizona could win. They're actually favored by 3.5.
If Travis Hunter's out, Arizona doesn't have an issue winning this game.
Yeah, probably not. I agree. That's one caveat about Travis Hunter is that if he goes down, you're all of a sudden missing not only your number 1 corner, but your number 1 receiver too. So, yeah, you're betting on him to be durable. Let's see. 4:15, number 14 A&M at Mississippi State. That's actually the last game of the afternoon slate. So, I mean, A&M's favored by 15.5.
Rightfully so, I feel like.
Yeah, right. But still 2 middle-of-the-pack teams. I mean, A&M isn't playing better. They're 14 in the country now.
If Mississippi State's offense plays the way it did against Georgia, I mean, shoot.
Right. No kidding. What's their quarterback? Martin, is it Van Buren? Is that their quarterback?
Something like that, yeah.
He's been playing decent, I guess. Maybe the Toledo loss woke him up.
I think Kirby shoved them last week, that was fun.
Yeah, right. All right, night games. You want to kick off LSU Arkansas?
Yeah, that was another interesting one. It's in Fayetteville. As Tennessee fans know, it's not a fun place to play anymore.
I'm not having fun anymore.
If this was in Death Valley, I don't think it's really a question. No. Wait, do they play this game in a neutral site? Look this up. I think they might play this in a neutral.
It's in Razorback Stadium.
Really? What? Oh, I'm thinking of LSU A&M or Arkansas A&M.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like an underrated rivalry game from what I remember. But it's a night game in Arkansas. Anything could happen. More than likely, LSU probably wins. They're playing good football, but they're coming off an emotional win, and this could
right,
easily be a trap game for them. And if Arkansas wins this, they're going to shoot up in the rankings because they're going to be multiple ranked wins, and their only losses aren't bad at all. So,
right. They probably don't storm the field again just because I don't know what the
well,
fine would be with
eh,
with 2 times in one season.
it's worth paying it. It's worth paying it if you're
Right.
for
That's
a
fair.
fan base like that. Like it's worth
Yeah,
paying it.
that's fair. So who knows? Like you said, if it was in Death Valley, I don't think we'd be batting an eye about this. But it's in Arkansas. It's a road game in the SEC. Anything can happen. I just want to touch on this game real quick, just because I think that something absolutely hilarious could happen. Ball State at Vanderbilt at 7 o'clock. Vanderbilt's favored by 26. They should have no problem winning this game. Ball State's not a good football team, but I just think it'd be absolutely hilarious
Ball
if
State's
Ball
quite
State.
literally one of the worst teams in the country. So
They are. Their only win this year is against Kent State, where they won by 2 points. Who we beat by 71-0. But anyways, it's football. I don't know if I can say crazier things have happened because I don't know if a crazier thing has happened. But I think it would be absolutely hilarious if Ball State beat Vandy and then Ball State fans all over, however many of them there are, would obviously be crowning themselves as better than Bama by proxy.
you want to know an even crazier script is they lose to Ball State and beat Texas the following week.
Yeah, that would be
Vandy
nuts.
has Vandy has Texas at home the following week.
And then Ball State would crown themselves as SEC champs.
At that point, I mean, shoot, why not? Well, then Georgia State's right in the mix too. So
Yeah, no kidding.
eh,
I mean,
that'd be the most insane college football season of all time.
the the people making the rankings would have a fit.
The 30
That'd
for
be
30, the 30 for 30 about Vanderbilt in 2024 would be insane.
Oh, the roller coaster of emotions. All right, we got another good game. We got Georgia, number 5 Georgia at Texas. This is the college game day, ABC 7:30. I'm sure we'll be watching this game somewhere, either really sad or really happy after our game on Saturday. But this will probably be the game on the TV where we're either celebrating or drowning our sorrows. I'll let you talk about this one.
This is very similar to the Bama Georgia game where in my eyes, I don't know if I can really pick a team. I'm glad we didn't bother putting it on our parlay because I don't really want to go out there claiming that other team's going to win. I'm going to go
Yeah, I
on
have no
I'm
idea.
going to go on an unbiased, like neutral opinion here. I don't know what to expect in this game. This is Texas by far their biggest test. Luckily for them, it's at home. And on the other hand, Georgia has one loss, and they kind of have to play lights out. And
They do.
I could totally see Kirby Smart and Georgia going and screwing this all up and beating Texas. And at that rate, I think everybody in the SEC would have a loss. Well, I guess A&M is like undefeated in SEC play, but they'll go down eventually. Like,
Yeah. Not
I,
worried
I
about
mean,
that one.
I
I
think
hope.
at least like
Yeah. No kidding.
um. So if that, I mean, as a Tennessee fan, I'm kind of rooting for Georgia to win that, just because it raises our SEC championship hopes.
Yes.
Now, that's after we play Florida. I mean, Bama. So if we lose to Bama, I'm not really going to be worried about who the hell wins in that game. To be honest, it's just going to be
But
watching it.
we're not going to
But
lose to them, so
if we once we beat Bama by 3 scores, obviously, and we turn on the game after, I will probably be pulling for Georgia. I hate to admit it, but I think that'd be better for our case
yeah,
scenario.
absolutely, it would be
Gives us a higher chance to kind of jump back up in the rankings a little bit too.
right
But
for sure.
I don't know. I mean, you really could flip a coin. It sounds dumb, but you could low key probably put money on both of them and just hope that something pays out. Maybe take Georgia money line, but then take Texas spread or something like that. And
Right.
if one of them works, you win a little bit of money, and I don't know. But
Yeah. I'm sure there's some crazy statistics to be done where you could probably win money either way. But
maybe the over is a good bet.
56.5.
I mean, Georgia's defense hasn't looked lights out, and Texas can put up some points. And if Beck and them company wants to stay in the game, they're gonna have to sling the ball like they have been. So
Absolutely.
And if they win this, and Carson Beck has good stats, he's going to go right back up in the Heisman conversation. It's going to piss everybody off.
Yeah, I can't pick a team either. I mean, Texas has looked like the number one team in the country, but they also have not played anyone great. Michigan's their best team that they've played, and Michigan's now 22 in the country. So I hope it's a good game. Hopefully I still have the want to watch football at the time of this game is being played.
Right.
So, with that being said, last couple of games for the night are UCF at Iowa State, number 9 Iowa State, top 10 Iowa State. Those Cyclones are playing good. They're favored by 14 at home against UCF, which UCF isn't a terrible team either, but Iowa State's probably going to take care of business here.
Yeah, UCF started out decent. I think they've kind of fallen off a little bit.
Yeah, so they have.
I expect Iowa State to play good. Where is this game at again?
It's in Ames, Iowa.
They're not losing at home.
No, I don't think so either. And then you have number 17, Kansas State at West Virginia. I think this one could be interesting just because, who the heck knows at this point? Big 12 seems like it's all a bunch of frauds. I don't know. I'm not super bought into Kansas State. So that's just
West Virginia's played decent, so
they have. Right, and they have a decent roster too.
I think that'll be a fun game.
Yeah, I hope so. You got Iowa at Michigan State with a grand total of 41.5 at the over-under line.
We're taking the under.
That's crazy.
God, that's a rough
41.5. Yeah, that's going to be a slow game.
Iowa's offense has been better this year than it has been last year. That's for sure.
It has been.
Absolutely. They were on a record bad year last year, but yikes! I know Michigan State has played really bad too. So
right, that's true.
Can't imagine myself watching this game.
No, me neither. We're going to be watching the Georgia-Texas game.
There's some other priorities going on Saturday than Iowa and Michigan State. If I'm at a point in the night where I'm watching Iowa and Michigan State, things have probably gone pretty south. I'm probably pretty done with SEC football if that's the case. So hopefully
we don't get bold.
Yeah, I don't want to get in that. I don't want to have to get in that situation. So.
Me neither. And hopefully we don't get below that point, which would be watching North Texas play Memphis. Because at that point we're rooting for a different Tennessee team. Just hoping that we can find something.
That'd be a reach. We don't need that.
It would be absolutely. Could be a fun game though. I mean, two cool uniforms. I guess Memphis is favored by 10.
Yeah, and they probably cover.
Yeah, probably. They're a good team.
If we win and we win our parlay, maybe we throw some money on that game. Who knows? But,
right. Yeah, for sure. And then, man, these night games are just like.
I'm just mad we don't get Hawaii after midnight this week. We get him.
I'm mad we don't get any Genty.
We get
No
who
Genty
told him
this
week.
week.
Who told Genty he gets a week off? I need 203 scores. That's my weekly enjoyment.
I'm sure he'll run for 100 yards on his bye week.
Oh, probably. I'm sure you hear that during practice right now. He probably just scored 3 times. So
yeah, no kidding. You do have Kentucky at Florida in the swamp at 7:45.
I'm not watching that either.
Not going to be a good game.
No.
I hope both teams lose.
I guess.
Speaking of, it's an even line right now. So can I bet on them to tie?
Can we? Do we want Florida to win and make it look a little better? Maybe they blow out Kentucky.
I guess.
I think Graham Mertz is done for the. I think Graham Mertz is done for the year. So this is the Lagway show going for the rest of the time. He showed like I think there's a little bit of promise in him. I think
I agree.
he's just young,
I think
inexperienced.
he's more talented than Mertz.
Oh, he gives him a much higher ceiling going forward. I just think his head coach is a imbecile, but we're gonna. I mean, who doesn't go for 2 in that situation? We didn't even talk about that. Your job's on the line. Go for 2. Just go for 2. You have
nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
ACC after dark again.
Oh no.
Got SMU at Stanford.
I'm riding the SMU train, man. I am.
Pony Express is it officially back?
It has left the station. That's for sure.
Yeah, right.
Just don't derail.
Who gave SMU the ability to play their players again? Now they're going to be good.
Yeah, the Pony Express has at least left the station. Hopefully, it stays on track because I think everyone, who sits there and is like, God, I hate SMU.
Right. Exactly.
Who's got a problem with SMU? I mean, maybe Baylor or TCU, someone in that state, but
right, yeah, one of the Texas
not us,
teams,
not over here. We don't care.
Yeah.
Let them win.
Not at all. And then cap the night off with speaking of TCU at Utah.
Cam Rising, did you see that?
What happened?
Back for year 400 or whatever.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He said no
for now.
He said 7 years was enough.
Yeah, but 8 years gives him a potential PhD in whatever he's working on at this point. If he's doing classes, I don't know how that works at this point.
Who knows? I'm sure you have to take one.
It's been a running joke for 4 years if he's ever going to stop football, and I think the NCAA is just doing this to be funny. I don't even think they really because they know what if he gets hurt again? Can we get him to year 10? Can we get him to year 10? That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Can we get him playing with his son, like LeBron?
That would be crazy. Every year we go into if Cam Rising can stay healthy, Utah might be legit.
Yeah, we've been saying that since before we were in college.
We didn't even make it halfway through the season, and it's not only has Cam Rising already got hurt for the rest of the season, he's also been announced he's allowed to come back. They didn't even wait. They didn't even wait to the offseason to figure that out. They already did. They ran the numbers and just let him know in week 5, and they were like, "Hey, by the way, if you want to do something,
if you want
to get one more degree."
Yeah, 8. Yeah, now you get 2 bachelor degrees. Just kidding. There's no way that he's been taking a full load of classes.
Who knows? I mean, I don't think his NFL dreams are going to work out. So,
no, he'll probably just become Utah's coach or something.
Now that would be funny. But yeah, we're gonna go. I guess now into our parlay of the week now.
Yeah.
What are we? Are we week 8? Is that what we're on?
This is week 8, which means we should have CFP rankings after this week. So no more stupid AP poll nonsense. There you go. I can see it clear as day.
Perfect. Okay. So this week we kind of decided to cut back because we haven't been able to win one and just start a little bit simpler and then maybe work our way up. So we've already discussed all these, but we're going to take Tennessee money line. We're going to take the over 50.5 at Nebraska, Indiana, and then we're going to take Illinois at home money line. All of these will be done by the night slate, which kind of gives us an opportunity where if this pays out to have a little fun in the night slate, especially if that first one pays out. And let me zoom out here and just show you. So it's plus 857 odds. So
yep,
I have it in there 10 to win 95. That's on DraftKings. I know FanDuel was kind of running a little bit different of odds, and there's always profit boost and all that. But that's just as natural as it comes, 10 to win 95. Tail us if you dare, but we're not giving you any financial advice. We haven't hit one yet, so don't trust us, or maybe you should. Maybe this is going to be the week, and you can finally join us when we get hot. Because when we get hot, we're gonna stay hot.
Bingo. We've gone 3 out of 4 multiple times. So theoretically, if we take that one leg out, we should have a pretty good shot going 3 for 3 and paying out. If I know there's a DraftKings profit boost for 4+ legs if you want to throw in one of the other games that we talked about or just another game that you want to bet on. So, do with that what you will. Fade us if you want to. You can pick and choose what you want to agree with us on. Nobody's telling you what to do here.
Yeah, we broke it down, and we're roughly 6 games we've gotten right, 6 games we've gotten wrong. Unless you count, if depending on what you got Boise State at, because I got them at -21 and they won by 21, which voided, so it'd be 6-6-1.
Right.
You could have gotten them at, I think, at -19.5 at one point, or minus
That would have hit. I got
20
him
and
at
a half.
21 and a half. Mine didn't hit.
So I kind of would count that as a tie, just because,
Right.
really, depending on if you got the bet in when we said to or not, that would have been
Exactly
the difference. So. Other than that, we recapped the Florida game. We highlighted Bama coming up. We got all of last week's games covered, and we talked all about this upcoming week of college football. October 19th is going to be a fun one. It's the third Saturday in October, Jamie, and hopefully all good things for the Vols, and we can come back next week all happy and talk about we're so back and all the fun things.
Oh, yeah. We never left.
Technically be bowl eligible, and that'd be cool already at this point in the season.
It would be.
We got our NFL show coming out Friday, so make sure to stay tuned for that. So just follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify and Twitter. You can find clips on different those things. You can see our video version, which is what you're watching right now, if you can see us on YouTube. And then if you're just listening to us, that's how you do it on Spotify. And like I said, clips on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. So with all that being said, Jamie and I will see you on Friday morning. Thank y'all for listening.
Take it easy.